All right. Happy Friday, everybody. And on this Friday, as I want to get into the regular habit of reviewing positions, we're going to review Ford again. I have a video, a short live that I did last week where we took a look at Ford. And this week, I want to take another look at Ford. And we're going to start off looking at Ford here by looking at these are all of the transactions in my account for the last 365 days in Ford. Now, I've been trading Ford for longer than a year, but we're just going back a year. And for this year, the things that I want to look at are, I want to look at how much option premium have I been able to sell on Ford over the last year. And I want to answer questions like, what did that do to my cost basis in Ford? And so we're going to look at that right now. What we're going to do is we'll ignore these stock positions up here. I've filtered this sheet for only Ford positions. So we have Ford trades on stock here, and then all the rest of these are going to be the option trades. Now, it's really not that many. I haven't done a tremendously good job of especially selling calls, but just staying on top of it and selling as many options as I possibly can. And the maximum position size that I want to maintain on Ford is 400 shares. And that's where we're at right now, is with 400 shares, 400 or 500 shares. But if we sum up all of the proceeds from all of the options, we'll see right here that I've brought in $1,000 in option income, right? So we can see when I go up here to buy one, that's going to be cash out. So it's going to be a negative on the proceeds. And when I sell one, I'm selling it, it's a positive number. So we go and add all of these up. And we see that over the last 365 days, I've made $1,000 in option premium. I've also paid almost $40 in commissions. This is in my Interactive Brokers Pro account. So I do pay commissions on all of these trades. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is say, okay, well, I own 400 shares. And if we say I own 400 shares at the current, just roughly $12.50 price, that's essentially a $5,000 commitment. So how have I done, the ratio of option premium income to dollars committed in the account over the last year? So we take a ratio of how much option premium did we bring in, $1,000. How much money do we have to put up in order to do that? $5,000. So like I say, over the last year, I've brought in 20% of the cash that I put up. I've brought in 20% of that just in option premium income. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to look at is this number right here. So Interactive Brokers is reporting my cost basis of $15.69. So my total cost basis, this is trading Ford for a long time in Interactive Brokers, it's saying my cost basis is $62.76. So I want to then understand, what is my adjusted cost basis? Because when I go to sell call options, I'm going to use the adjusted cost basis to understand what is the lowest strike that I would be willing to sell call options at. That's important. I don't want to be stuck up here at this $15.69 when Ford is trading well below that. I want to know, where should I start selling call options with the understanding that I'm not locking in losses. So to do that, we take our cost basis that is reported to us from our brokerage. We subtract off the option income that we've brought in. And that gives me an adjusted cost of $52.67, which you can see is not far off from where the stock is trading right now. If I divide that by 400 shares, I get an adjusted cost basis of just over $13 per share. So that's where we're sitting if we're just taking into account the option sales for the last calendar year, or for the last trailing 365 days. Okay, so I'm sitting at an adjusted cost basis of $13.17. Okay, so that's the boring part. That's the spreadsheet. So we have an understanding of, well, this is how well I've done trading the wheel strategy on Ford over the last 365 days. Let's go into Interactive Brokers now and just take a look at the position, and we'll look at Ford and then see, do we want to sell options today, or what are we thinking? Okay, here we are in my Interactive Brokers account. And down here in the lower left, I have my portfolio filtered for the position in Ford. So we can see that I have 400 shares at an average price of $15.69, $15.70. And I'm short one call option right now. And so what we'd like to look at today is, where is Ford trading right now? We can look at the daily chart and look at the pivot points and determine, okay, I could go to 500 shares. That means I could sell one more put, or I have 3 call options left to sell. Now, if I'm looking to sell 40 delta call options, even when I sell all 4 call options, I'm not completely hedged on the account. I'll be looking to sell 35 or 40 delta call options. And that means that once I sell all 4 call options, the whole position, all 400 shares, would only be about 40% hedged, right? Because they're 40 delta call options. And a share is 1 delta. So if I have 0.4 delta or 40% delta call options, a share is 1 delta. So by selling out of the money call options, I do still participate in upside movement in Ford, unless I sell more call options to make the position completely delta neutral. Okay, I popped open a daily chart of Ford, and we can see on this chart, if we go back to around June of 2022, we see this is where this 1370s, 1380s was first resistance. It traded down to and set in a low in the 11s, low 11s, 1120s, 1115s down here before, really surging back up to $16.50, $17. It's just been trading sideways with a lot of chop. But right now, since it's trading below this 1375 level, I consider that to be the next pivot point to the upside. And we've maintained now 3 times this low of 1120s in the downside. So we can see here on the right that after 112, after last week, we approached that 1370s level, but then boom, easily sold off. And now the stock is trading in between the pivot points. And so here, this is where, okay, if I was trading this very robotically, I wouldn't really be looking at this. I would just be selling call options to scale to 4 call options, and then selling puts to scale to max position size, maybe 500 shares. So I could sell one more put. But since it's trading in between these pivot points, what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to sit on it for this week. And let's see next week if Ford decides to move up toward a breakout of this 1370s level, in which case we can go ahead and sell the 14s or the 1450 call options. Or is Ford going to break down to 1125 or 1120s, in which case we will look to sell the 11, 1075, maybe the 1050 put option. All right, so we'll come back next week and we'll take another look at Ford, and we'll see, okay, next Friday, maybe we'll place one of these trades. We'll see where Ford is trading. Is it going to move up down to the pivots? And we'll check back in. All right, until then.